Welcome to Thriving with Chiropractic, where Dr. Mosier from Mosier Family Chiropractic shares a variety of topics designed to empower, inspire, and give hope. Take a few notes and enjoy the lesson.
Well, hey, folks, this is Dr. Mosier here with Thriving with Chiropractic. And a couple weeks ago, I go to Orlando and I meet this really awesome chiropractor. It was not until the very end, and we were outside waiting for our Ubers, and Dr. Everett came up and we just started chatting a little bit. We actually went to the same chiropractic college in St. Louis. I'm a few years here. I'm kind of a young buck, I guess, in the profession, but he has one of the biggest practices in the nation, really, but like in St. Louis, and I'm just going to share this with y'all. St. Louis is probably one of the hardest places to run a chiropractic practice because, well, there's a school right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is seeing hundreds of folks changing the world over there in St. Louis. He's even coaching other chiropractors. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but like, he's even a part of the ABCA. Now, this is silly. I had to look that up because I didn't know what it was. Obviously, if you're watching this on the podcast, you can't see me and Dr. Everett. We have different skin tones, right? He has a year-round tan. I don't. I get sunburned. You get sunburned?
No, I don't actually.
Nice. Thanks for rubbing it in. But anyway, it's called the American Black Chiropractic Association, and that's something he's really big in. And so I want to, Dr. Everett, what is your chiropractic story?
Well, Doc, I got into chiropractic in a kind of a roundabout way. I met, just by happenstance, I met a chiropractor as he was walking out of the building, out of his practice, and he was loading up his SUV with bags and things like that. And I said, hey, where you headed? Introduced ourselves. Where you headed? He said, I'm headed to China for 30 days. And I was a junior in high school. And I said, whatever it is you do for a living, that's what I'm doing. Because I want to be able to go to China for 30 days, to take off work and go to China for 30 days. And, as a junior in high school, your perspective is a little bit different. I didn't understand entrepreneurship. I didn't understand running a business. So I didn't have a lot of information, but luckily God sent the information to me at the right time for me to absorb it and to say, this sounds like something I want to do. And then when I got to undergrad, I worked for a chiropractor, and working for that chiropractor, I really learned about the profession, how amazing it is, what wellness really was. And that's when I fell in love with chiropractic. And I fell in the right spot, man. And it ended up working out for me.
I love it. So that's kind of similar to my story. Ellen had migraines, and so she was seeing this chiropractor, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my career. So I started, he seems, successful and he's changing lives. I want to do that. Yeah. You've been in this profession for how many years? A decade?
A little over, 15 now. Yeah.
And so out of the thousands of patients, and this may be hard, but like, what is your most memorable patient story?
Oh man. So many. Of course, in chiropractic, we see what in healthcare they call miracles weekly, right? We see them all the time. And I've had patients who couldn't hear and got adjusted and can hear. A guy who had been in a wheelchair for 3 years. A lady who was in so much pain that she had to be carried into work and sat at her desk every day for 2 years. She's now walking 3 miles a day. You're right. So we see these miracles, I like to say, in chiropractic all the time. But the thing that struck me that had the biggest impact on me was something super simple. I was in my practice one day, and I adjusted a lady, and she was having migraines before she came. When she started coming, when we see migraines, it's like an alley-oop for us.
Yes.
That's no problem. And I adjusted her, and I said, hey, how you doing? She said, my migraines are gone. I'm not having any issues. And I said, oh man, that's great. And I turned around to enter some stuff into my computer and really kind of move on to the next patient. And she grabbed me by the arm And she said, you know, this stuff is so good that it didn't even affect you, that I don't have migraines anymore. And I had to stop and think about it for a second. Like, that is not something that our patients are experiencing any place else in healthcare. Like, they're not experiencing solutions. So when they get a solution, they're like, in tears, and they can't believe it, and they're so thankful. And for us, it's so commonplace that we forget how rare it is in all of healthcare, right? For someone to actually come into a doctor's office with an issue and get it fixed is not a real thing in most of healthcare. And us in chiropractic take it for granted. So it really struck me, you know what I mean? That how we get to really impact people's lives relative to anybody else in healthcare.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. And I'm still young into the profession. I think we'll celebrate 5 years. And yes, I'm so glad I'm a chiropractor.
Yeah.
I want to bring up a topic. We were listening to Dr. Mark Sharon. He's a famous pastor down in Florida. And it was towards the end, right? And he said some stuff. So he had a son who's African American. He adopted him, and they go to school. And I have a 4-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old son who next year is going to go to kindergarten. So it's like hit me kind of hard, same age. Yeah. So his son, he goes to school and he comes home and he's like, Dad, what's and he used the N-word.
Right.
And he was like, where did you hear that? Well, that's what they called me at school. And maybe I'm just not Christian enough. I probably wouldn't respond very well. But and he said that, and then he said another story. So now his son is like a teenager, that age range, and he was out driving, and we're in like a very nice neighborhood in Orlando, Florida, and the cop pulled him over and just really harassed him over, like, I think it was a taillight.
Yeah.
And so I'm listening, and majority of the folks at this conference has the same skin color.
Right.
We all get sunburnt, except for you and a couple other guys that was there. And so I'm back there in the back, thinking, does this really happen? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure back in the 60s, back in the 70s, and you have kind of a mission in chiropractic. I want to know your thoughts.
I like this conversation because I think it's an important conversation, and I always welcome it openly, even to people who don't understand, and just want better understanding. I think the thing that can be the most frustrating is to be an American, right, and to live in this country, and to have a large portion of the country just not even believe, your experience. That's the part that I think can be the most frustrating. It's as if we're making it up, right?
Right.
And that to me, honestly, is the most frustrating of it all, because we're all Americans, right? And we all want to be treated equally, and we all want the same experience. And I think I can speak for Black people when I say we don't want more, we just want the same. And that's really, really what it is all about. Is that when you get pulled over by a police officer, that you and I both get treated the same way. Or when we're in a store, and then the security treats us the same way. Or when we're in the judicial system, we both get treated the same way. Or when we walk into a bank to get a loan, we both get treated the same way. Those are the things that we're talking about. That's all. Is that we just want to be treated the same way, with the same respect, with the same objectivity, right, of each situation. And that is simply not the case, and it's not debatable. It's not a conversation to go back and forth about. It's not equal. And unfortunately, equality, takes some work, right? And it takes some effort, and it takes some sacrifice, to be quite frank. I got a buddy of mine, he's in his 50s, white guy, in his 50s. And he said, man, I feel like I'm being persecuted. And I said, it's because you are. It's tough for you guys right now. It's really hard for you guys, right? Being a male and being white right now, it's a little tougher than it's ever been. And I said, but please don't get confused about why that's the case. It's the case because guys that look like you decided that they didn't want things to be equal many, 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 many years ago. And so now, because of what your ancestors decided, you now have to suffer for it. So it's not Black people, it's not women, it's not, you know, people who decided to change their gender. It's not us. It's your ancestors. And so we can all collectively be upset with them, but the answer is to solve the problem, right? It's for all of us to be treated the same, like, because that makes the country better. And right now we're in a place where, you know, being an American doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. And that is not a good thing. That's unfortunate. And you know, and everybody should want that to be different.
That's true. I'm just thinking, so I like to drive fast sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
So I get pulled over, but it's usually a warning.
Right.
Just like, oh, just slow down.
Right.
You know, you're doing something really neat, because you're very successful, and you and a couple other guys are really coaching the, I guess, underserved chiropractors. You know, like, for instance, I went to St. Louis and I graduated. I think there was one African-American person.
Yeah.
You know, out of the 100.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a minority in this profession. So what are your thoughts on that?
That there's a lot of work to be done. My class was 167 and there was only 2 African Americans in my class. Is that, you know, we really need to, one of my goals is to get more African Americans, to get more minorities, period, into chiropractic, because if there aren't minority chiropractors, then minorities aren't getting served. That's just the way things work, right? Healthcare is a very personal thing. And I speak openly about this as well. Healthcare is a very personal thing. And when a patient comes into an office, they want to feel comfortable. And that's vital in healthcare. So what makes the most sense is that a patient is going to want to see somebody who fits them a little more culturally, right?
True.
If they want maximum comfort. And so if there aren't enough African-American chiropractors, if there aren't enough female chiropractors, if there aren't enough Asian chiropractors, then those sectors aren't in the place that's most fitting for them to get the care that they need. Because your health is a very selfish thing. It's not about other people and how other people feel and inclusivity and all of those things. No, it's about you. And you getting exactly what it is that you need. So you need someone that speaks your language. You need someone that can understand you. You need someone that can sympathize, that can empathize with you. You need those things when you're talking about your own health. And when you don't have people who look like you, walk like you, talk like you, then you're not getting all of that, right? You can have great doctors of other genders and other races, but the level of understanding is just different. And I think that that's very, very important in healthcare. So our goal is to get more minorities in chiropractic so that more minorities are getting the quality of care that they need.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So we're just going to change the world together.
That's it. We should all be working to change the world together, right? And the world includes all races, you know, 2 different genders, different languages, right? Different religions. It includes all of those things. And so we want representation in all those areas for people to get the care that they need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jesus just didn't die for just one race or one gender. He died for everybody.
Absolutely.
So, well, Dr. Everett, I thank you so much for joining me. This has been really, honestly, it's eye-opening to see these things. You know, we like to put a blind eye and just say, oh, it's not real. It's not real. Let's just keep on going. It is eye-opening, and it's a conversation that I think we need to have. And I'm glad you had it with me.
Thank you. I think it's an important conversation. And it's not to discount anybody else's experiences. It's just to include everyone's experiences in the conversation. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. And for folks, thank you for joining us. And next time, Thriving with Chiropractic. See you there.
If you found value in this video, please comment and let us know your biggest takeaway. We also ask that you don't keep this information to yourself. We ask that you share it with your friends and family by simply clicking the share button below.